From the art of the deal to keeping it real. Live from the Simply Vegas studios, it's The Power Move with John Gafford.
What's happening, everybody? Back again. Another awesome episode of The Power Move. With me, as always, is my man, Colt. What's up, Colt?
What's going on, guys?
And the awesome Chris Connell. What's happening, Chris Connell?
How you doing, man? Living the dream.
Living the dream, indeed.
Is that Colt or Amidan, or is that Julian from the Trailer Park Boys? He's always get that one cocktail no matter what.
It's the one loose cocktail is really what it is. Yeah. It's what makes him him. It loosens him up. It makes him a little slippery.
It doesn't go down though.
A little slippery.
Smarter. A little smarter.
It doesn't. All I got to say is it's such a shame that we didn't, the footage from the last Power Move where we talked about
no, it's not.
your gay porn star neighbors is maybe never going to see the light of day. I don't know. Maybe it's easier.
I forgot. That was, oh no.
Had some great content last week. Some not so great. Some
That's
horrible.
Recap. Oh, you want to recap?
Let's not.
Let's not have a recap. Let's just move forward.
Nothing. And,
But, let's talk about some stuff that I think is going to be kind of pertinent for what's going on. Now, first of all, big power move today. Cuomo out.
That's a power move for him to stay
yourself,
in.
Gentlemen.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, Chris? You tell me.
Why men in positions of power act like absolute pigs, to quote Bill Burr?
Yeah, well, I think is it men anymore, or is it men of a certain age? Is that the reality?
That's politicians. I mean, it is men of a certain age. Obviously, I'm so programmed now that I'll be at a restaurant, I'll hear an old man say, "Hey, sweetheart, how much?" Oh my God! Have you not seen any memos?
You cannot say that.
Have you not seen a single memo about we don't do that anymore? Okay, It's just, but nah, they just straightforward with it. So you give them power, you put them in a gubernatorial position.
It's over. It's just out there. It's funny, years and years ago in another life, I worked for Hooters of America, the national restaurant, if you will, as they refer to themselves at that point in time. And I'll never forget when you go through the training portion, and we went to what's called Hooters University back in the day, and the head of human resources comes out, and this is what he says about sexual. After he does this spiel, he goes, "All right, boys, let's talk about sexual harassment. Well, let's talk about the reality of it." He goes, "Sexual harassment is defined as unwanted sexual advances." That's what it's defined as.
But if she wants it.
Well, now, well, this is what he said, though. He goes exactly like this. He goes, unwanted sexual advances. He goes, so there's two kinds of men that come to work for this company as management. He goes, there's guys that are they're good looking guys. They've always been great with women their whole life. They no problem getting a date. They think they're very charismatic. They just know that women like them. He goes, those guys are few and far between. Then we have the guys that work here that think they're that guy, and they're not that guy. Those are the guys I fire for sexual harassment. So if we just clear this up right now, figure out who you are, it'll make my job a lot easier. Yeah, he's like, it'll just make my job so much easier if we just go forward and do it this way.
My biggest thing is, and I could have been fooled by the internet, but did he really say he's just Italian and that's why he did it? Just Italian.
Wait, did you just say fooled by the internet? Was that where you were going with that?
Have you ever not fooled by the internet? You see stuff and you don't know if it was real or not. So many great Photoshop people.
By Abraham Lincoln the other day.
Talking about OnlyFans. So we're like, I didn't know Abe knew about that.
It was absolutely spot on. But you have this guy. I think it's guys of a certain age. I think you have
for sure.
The Mad Men age, the drinking scotch in the office, at 10:30 in the morning. I mean, like this guy is right now. I'm just kidding. It's not 10:30.
It's not. It's noon.
It's 10:45. But yeah, just of a different age when, hey, Trixie, little smackaroo there. There you go. It's like Bill Burr says when he's like, oh, do you believe he did that? And he's like, he was born in 1908. I completely believe he did it.
They believe he's done a lot of things.
What do you guys do when you're with people like that? Because what happens to me is I'm a member of a very, very old country club. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of times where I'm sitting there having drinks and a inappropriate comment comes out. Maybe
Spearmint Rhino's not that old.
No, I know, right? But I don't even know how to react because it's so uncomfortable. Because as a young person, the young waitresses, they know that's wrong. But the rest of the crowd is so...
Well, I think even in text chats, I think the best thing you can do is in a humorous... People that are ignorant, I think... I find a great opportunity to be humorous with them when they don't understand that you're laughing at their own ignorance.
That's a great way to do it. Plus, if you can find a way to kind of wrap it in to generate some empathy, insofar as like, so there's this whole push about men need to be better about correcting men, right? We should get out there and you expect men to stop being toxic and they should correct their male friends. That is preposterous. That is a preposterous thing that people want men to do as it stands. What you need to do is you got to chip away at any mountain to make Mount Rushmore, right? You have to, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. You don't just go to your friends.
Hot sauce.
You are
hot sauce.
You are a sexist piece of shit, Bob, and you should stop doing that. It's like, Bob, you know, there's times and a place to sort of persuade people, right? People have lost the art of persuasion. That is the absolute number one thing that we've lost as a culture.
So are you saying Cuomo is not good at persuading women to not I'm
sitting with Cuomo.
Okay.
We're at the country club in New York or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, Toots, go get me a scotch, 3 fingers over here,
dude."
Doing that kind of stuff. I can't be like, "Oh, Governor, I found that personally offensive," because you don't make friends that way. It's Carnegie. You go back to Dale Carnegie,
dude. I got an email the other day, and I was brought into an email conversation with one of our agents was having an argument with another agent, and this cat from another company actually wrote this. He goes, "I don't know who this Kristen broad is."
Oh my God!
I was just like, oh my God. And literally I saw it and I was stunned at just the sheer ignorance. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, I text his broker and I said, "Hey, can you do me a favor with this particular guy?" And he said, "Sure. What do you need me to do?" I'm like, "Explain to him it's not 1962.
Yeah, geez,
I was going to say,
this is not the Archie Bunker set. Dude, it was I had to Google him. It wasn't even that old. I'm like, who uses the word bro? Hey, bro.
This dizzy broad over here should give me a hard time. Come on. I mean, but you got to know better. It's just I think a lot of times there is a certain amount of male fragility. There is. And it's not, I don't mean that in this, oh man, I mean that there's this thing that if I stop acting like an asshole, maybe I'm going to be perceived as weak or something. It's ingrained. It's a hard thing to kind of get away from. So if you want to get away from
that
it,
in business,
you got to kind of just take baby steps, I think, to get people on board. I think once you get, I know so many people that are in their 70s that are completely progressive all of a sudden. My grandma was awful. She was a terrible old lady. And then she made a gay friend or something one time. Now she's all for gay rights.
And that was it. Now she's wide open. No. My grandmother, when she got older, she got something called sundowner's disease. It was called sundowners, where it's a form of dementia when the sun goes down nighttime. Sure. You go batshit.
Coincidentally, a bottle of scotch.
And literally, my grandmother was like this very pristine Southern lady. Got her hair done every Tuesday at the bar, at the beauty parlor, went to breakfast in the restaurant every day. I mean, she was very pristine. And then as soon as she got sundowners, it was like Looney Tunes, all of her caregivers were, I think they were Jamaican because they're just who they were. And dude, it was this racist tirade. And it was crazy.
Shit that's
oh my God.
And
you're like, this is just, and you're like, oh my, I didn't even realize that was in my grandmother.
Oh, but
I had no idea.
They they were raised in it.
Yeah,
they were forged in the fires of all that shit.
Oh,
so
God.
Yeah, it's in the back of their mind, and they had to fight it.
Yeah.
And the ones that could fight it, the ones that saw that it wasn't right, doesn't mean it's still not in there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that the stuff I grew up with, there's a lot of times you want to throw out certain words when someone's acting a certain way, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you can't use it. I don't mean it that way. It's just in there, right? So you got to kind of learn how to get over. You know what I find so interesting about the Cuomo resignation today and all this stuff with him is I just wish I could have been a fly on the wall in the newsroom at CNN going over this. Today we're going to slaughter your brother. His brother's called in sick. I know.
He's like, well, I mean, we use the word brother. We use that word. It's loose at best. Just not going to do that.
Took a 23andMe and 7% off.
Oh my God. So somebody asked me earlier today, I was speaking for the local real estate board here and somebody had brought up, and actually that's not true. I was doing an interview for Forbes and they had said, what is your definition of success was one of the questions. And I thought that was interesting. And I think it's something that we all kind of run through in our head and we think we know, but I want to hear what you guys' definition of success is, what you think it is.
Go ahead.
Success is when such a weird thing. It's broad. Success for me or success in general? Because success in your profession.
No, I think the word just success. What is it defined as?
When will I be successful? When will I feel successful? It probably won't happen until I'm dead or on my deathbed when I'm thinking about what I've done. To me, I don't think I'll ever feel successful until I'm dying. That sounds really weird, but that's why I do all this crazy shit, because I don't want to have regrets. I want to be on my deathbed and be like, you know what? I came in screeching with like a 1/4 millimeter left on the tire, smoking, just sputtering out oil and fumes.
It's like Sinatra said, you only live once, but if you do it like me, once was enough.
Once was enough.
Once was enough. That's all I needed.
Enough. I just want that, to me, will be a successful life. Successful in careers when you have the, respect of others, when you have a good reputation, all that stuff. But success in life to me is when you are absolutely at that finish line saying the same thing.
See, I find that interesting that we talk about success, and the first thing that you go to is life, or in its totality, or in toto, as we discussed last week. For those of you in Latin, as we discussed last week, you go right to there.
Yep.
Whereas so many people, honestly, myself included today, totally put a dollar figure on that. Totally put a monetary wrapping on that thought process. Sure. What about you, Colt?
I go to kids. I go family. Mm-hmm. And I was like you. It was always money. But
first of all, you're never like me.
I was like you. I had the hair.
Let's be very clear.
Get out of here.
You were never like me.
I was like you. I wanted to go to Hooters University.
Trying to get into Hooters University.
I had a swimming scholarship. So
No, but it was always about money, career, everything, right? And a lot of people don't know, but I almost lost my oldest kid, and that changed my life, right? Yeah. Like that truly changed my life. That I work hard. I have set numbers I want. I have goals and stuff. But as long as my kids aren't, on coke or crack or doing all this stuff, and my daughters, that's how I look at it, right?
Low bar. There's plenty of strippers that don't do drugs.
Well, I haven't met them. But no, I think that success can be to anybody, right? Like, to Chris, success is to go climb a crazy mountain or whatever. To me, I'd rather be on a beach. So I think everybody's a little different, but me, it leans more towards my my life and the ability to do what I want, right? Like I go on vacations a lot, and I go clear my mind, and that's a successful thing to me, to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, see, for me, when I thought about that, my answer was based on freedom. And for me, freedom is the ability to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, without really giving it any other thought. And the majority of the constraints, because, I mean, obviously not as cool as your wife, Connell, but my wife's pretty cool about what when I want to go off and do things. But for me, it really is just about economic constraints, and it's about, and it's not necessarily just about material things. It's about experiences that I want to do. For those of you who don't know, Connell and I we're going to go play Indiana Jones in October, which is going to be awesome. We're literally going to Egypt to a live dig archaeological site. Jeez, got tongue tied.
Nail that one.
I nailed that one. Yeah, we're going to edit that one out.
You're going to be able to add archaeologists on your resume.
That's it. I will. No, but we're going on a diplomatic visa, which is pretty amazing stuff. Amazing. But here's the thing. For me, this is the first trip I've ever done like that. For you, this is like old hat. I mean, you got a whole wallet full of these trips.
I mean, I got a couple, but not like that. Like that to me, because there's an authenticity. We're going to a place called Saqqara. Saqqara it's like where Memphis was, the original capital of Egypt, for God's sake. We're talking about stuff that is so far.
And Elvis was there, right?
I was just going to say, don't you have a high rise going in there?
We actually might find his blue suede shoes buried under the rubble of the 8 million mummified animals they found there so far.
Chris is too smart.
Original necropolis for all the pharaohs. Everybody would go there to be buried, to be amongst gods.
Yeah.
So we get to go there and play Indiana Jones. And that is kind of success, to your point.
Yeah.
In that if you have the money to do stuff, right, it allows you to explore your dreams and your imagination.
You know my favorite story about freedom with money, that you can just do stuff, that I thought this is great. It's actually my buddy Steve Sims' story, but I'm going to steal it. I don't know if I ever told you this story. Colin, I don't know if you've heard this before. Steve was a luxury concierge, they call him the real life Wizard of Oz. He can make anything happen. And he had a client that wanted to play with Guns N' Roses. That was his dream, right? It was his dream. So Steve goes and wrangles up Guns N' Roses, gets Matt Sorum, gets Duff McKagan, gets Slash, no Axl, because this guy could sing a little bit, so we didn't bother calling Axl, but had Izzy Stradlin, all the original members of Guns N' Roses, had them, and paid him a very large sum of money to meet him at a studio in LA off Sunset Boulevard. Well, it comes time for the day that's there. Steve is sitting at Saddle Ranch waiting for his client to show up, and he's late, not there. So Steve calls him and goes, bro, where are you? This client's in New York. Calls me and goes, where are you? And the dude goes, oh my God, that was today? He goes, I had it in my calendar for next week. And he goes, no, it's right now. And the guy's like, well, I'm in New York. There's no way. He goes, oh my God, I'm crushed. He goes, I tell you what, why don't you just go over there, tell him I'll pay him again to meet me next week.
No.
So this guy was, I don't know how you screw something like that up on your calendar, right. God bless him, but he was baller enough that not only did he miss the experience, he got to pay for it again.
Yeah, you know, that's it. Do you know what's funny? You said that is a certain element of success, right? That financial freedom, right? Where you've killed off all your masters.
Yeah.
You don't have any masters. Everybody suffers under masters. If you read Booker T. Washington, right? Like everybody, even like slaves had masters, but their masters were slaves. Like it's this kind of weird inverse correlation about how we're all kind of run by someone else. And my goal is to kill off all of that, right? And I don't mean responsibility or, you know, whatever, but I mean to make sure that I'm not beholden to certain things, right? That I don't want to be, at least, that are not by choice. So when you're talking about how money can get you there, right? So this guy can absolutely basically do whatever he wants.
Anything.
He can, whatever he wants, right? So that's, he's buying his life back. He has absolute freedom, not the kind of freedom that people talk about or, oh, when I work till I'm 65, that's not freedom.
Well, I think that type of freedom is out the window now. I think especially that get a job and work a 9 to 5 your whole life and have a house and 2.2 kids and 1.4 dogs. I think that methodology is going out the window with the internet. I think that kids younger and younger are learning, you know, I don't necessarily know if I agree with the hustle economy, but they're learning how, you know, they can learn anything they want online. I mean, they can grow and scale businesses very quickly.
Do you think that I was thinking that last night, actually, do you think that's also ruining a lot of people? Because I've got people that reach out to me and these guys need the 9 to 5. But they've gone like 3 years.
Not everybody gets to be Elon Musk.
Right. Like they need the 9 to 5, and I think they're embarrassed to go to it. Like I was talking to a guy that reaches out for some, some guidance, and I just told him like a 9 to 5 is not bad for everybody. And I think that I think people are afraid now to do the 9 to 5, and I think people are embarrassed to do that, which I found weird. And am I weird to think that's weird?
Well, no.
You are amongst people that work in real estate, though. So your circle, it's weird. Right. The rest of the world still has the 9 to 5, and they have that job. What we see are people that are entrepreneurial, right? Yeah, I'm an attorney that works for myself. John's a broker. Yeah. You're a real estate.
If we want to go Cabo tomorrow, we could.
Yeah,
no questions asked.
But I mean,
except for school.
But if you look at all the office buildings in the world, it's going to be people work on their computer. There's going to be greater mobility. But I think the 9 to 5 is still the standard.
Well, I think the difference is this. I've offered some jobs in the last year to some people. No, correction. These weren't jobs. These were opportunities. These were opportunities to have a piece of something and own a piece of something. And really, it could turn into ginormous money. And obviously, the upfront wasn't huge. You know, I'm not going to pay some huge salary. Right. And these people declined the opportunity to take a high-paying job.
Yeah.
And in the long run, that job, it has no value. It has no equity. It's just, it's a job.
Yeah.
But I think certain people, I think it comes down to risk aversion. They're just not programmed to take that risk.
Do you think that's something you're born with, or do you think it's something?
Oh, that's a great question, Colt.
Because
great question, Colt.
I know, Scott.
There should be a noise for that.
That's why I drink. This is why I drink. No, and the reason is because risk to me is I'll take that all day long, but I also don't know any different, right? I've been doing real estate since 18. You know, I haven't had the 9 to 5. I haven't had any of that. So risk to me, I'll take calculated risk all day long, and it's whatever, because we risk it every day. We wake up pretty much jobless every day of our life.
Yeah. Yeah. But once you realize your own intrinsic value, then you don't worry about it as much. Like I grew up in a family, my dad was a teacher. My mom worked, just different jobs or whatever, but they were kind of weirded out that I wanted to go to university. They almost kind of tried to talk me out of it. Just sort of like, you don't have the money. How are you going to get the money? I tried to get a line of credit to go.
Wait a second. Was this Hooters University?
No.
Okay.
This is one that way lower stature. This is way less accredited.
Did you go in the States or did you go
I went
in Canada?
undergrad in Canada.
Okay.
That's not a real college, though.
No.
Is that a real college? Do they have real college? I mean,
standardized testing might disagree with you. But
Wow. Okay. All
right, keep going. We'll stop interrupting you.
Sorry, go ahead.
But it's just like I don't come from an entrepreneurial household at all. Zero.
Okay.
I mean, zero.
Right.
It was like when you got up, you go to high school, then you go become a cop, or you become a firefighter. That's a good job.
Cops.
That's what the goal is, to get a good job, a pension,
Get the pension.
someone that'll pay you, right?
Yep.
And to me, I thought that was kind of what I was working towards. So I went to school because I just knew I had to go do something because I didn't want to be a loser. So I have to keep going. I have to figure it out. And I like learning and whatever. So I didn't figure it out till way later. And I got the job and I moved to a country where I wasn't allowed to work during law school.
So you had to be a trophy wife.
I had to be a trophy wife. No, I just had to, you had to just kind of figure it out.
Right.
So once you did, I started working for others. And I think I became more entrepreneurial because I'm an economist at heart. Yeah. In my mind, I understand the intrinsic value of $1 of labor that I'm going to trade versus what I could earn on my own. I figured it out that I was getting paid about $50 an hour to be an attorney for somebody else at 40 hours a week. Right. And then I figured out, well, if I can bill at $250, I don't need to generate that many clients to break even on what I'm doing now. Plus, I don't have to work as much, or I can go develop other opportunities and whatever. So,
well, I think what you just said is really, really the point. I think people that are entrepreneurial at heart and are risk takers at heart understand the value of trading time for money.
Right.
They get the difference at. I think people that are entrepreneurial are looking for leverage, are looking for ways to have their money work for them in different ways other than trading time for money.
Right.
I think most people don't realize that they don't look at it like my cable, like that Starbucks I'm drinking every day is 30 minutes of my life at my job or 20 minutes of my life. They're not breaking it down like that.
Right. That's a weird thing. You bring up a good point. So in the industry I work in, it's the same as yours. There's two ways to lever yourself. There's two ways to lever your time. In economics, you have units of labor and units of capital, right? And so since ours aren't capital dependent necessarily, unless we're talking about leads or whatever, ours are labor unit, dependent. So as an attorney, you can either make money by you doing it and getting greater value cases, or you can hire a bunch of attorneys under you. That's the only way to make leverage, right, for our time. Because we're not trading buildings that get levered up or M&A where they have multipliers or all these things, right? We have ourselves and what we can do with that. And there's only two ways to lever in our business.
Well, that's not true because you can hire, a lot of attorneys, most of the ones that I deal with anyway, when you hire them, you're dealing with that paralegal. She's the one doing the drafts.
But it's people under you.
You're bringing beneath you. It's great.
Just creating a totem.
It's human capital. More humans, or you can have higher value cases. There's two directions.
So here's the question: you being let's call you we'll call you a professional, if we will.
But here's
the question though. So what's more important in a business like that, your IQ or your EQ?
100% EQ. Warren Buffett himself is like any point over 120 is a waste of IQ. It's irrelevant. It's like how smart you are. What is important in this world and in business and the job you have, job I have, or the career we have is to have a reasonable EQ. Or that's funny. I say that because I can find 100 where I can contradict that, because you can also be so self-unaware and such an absolute bull in a china shop and just demolish people because you have no EQ.
Right.
You either have EQ or you have none.
Well, I think though too. I think EQ is a skill you can develop to a certain extent, where IQ you can't. If
pretty interesting.
You're either over here getting it done, or you're cold. There's just really no in between. But EQ, I think, is a skill you can develop, and I don't think enough people develop that skill. I think people are I think people are more. Here's a question. Here's a question we can ask: are stupid people more ignorant to the fact that they're dumb?
Yes.
Or
I was just going to say we don't need to hear or.
No, I don't think so. Or are people with low EQ less aware of that? Because it seems like every time I run into somebody that is just, like you said, a bull in a china shop, they have no idea.
No shame. If you are shameless, you can be in real estate, you can be in this business absolutely shameless and just be in front of people, because there's a lot of people in our culture that avoid conflict. We're a conflict avoiding culture. So when somebody bulls you over, they Ricky, what's it from Glengarry Glen Ross, right?
Yeah.
There's guys that can just
Ricky Roma.
They can steam you.
You owe me one Cadillac. You are here to help us, not to fuck us up.
So the Ricky Roma model, right? Where you can just kind of come in and I'm a salesperson. I will sell you and I'll lie to you. I'll do whatever, right?
Right.
Think of timeshare sales. I'm not trying to disparage the industry, but there's a lot of people that walk away from that purchase.
Well, it's a grinder business, man. That is a grinder business.
And some people do it. There's good ones. There's ones that I've talked to people, they love it. And there's a lot of people that walk away with a lot of buyer's remorse, right? And I think what that comes down to is if you're selling the right product to the right person, that doesn't happen as often, right? But if you have a quota of sales, you have to sell this one product and everything isn't all fit, right? Square pegs and round holes or whatever. You have one product to sell everyone.
Well, timeshares is still like 1970s grinder.
Yes.
We're going to get you in the room. Sure. If I can't close you, I'm going to go get the manager who's going to come out and grind you.
Yeah.
And they fatigue people into those contracts,
That's what I'm saying.
Which is why there are legal professions designed around nothing other than
getting people out of timeshare.
Did you get taken advantage of by a shady timeshare person? We can help you get. Okay, question. Yeah. You're an attorney.
Yeah.
Riddle me this.
Literally drafting a quitclaim deed to get a guy out of one right now.
Right, but answer me this question. How come every time there's an attorney commercial, it's like, we're here to help you. It's almost like,
have you seen those two guys?
It's like they forget they don't know what to do with their hands.
I'm not going to mention any names, but there's one commercial in particular in town. It's like, why isn't anybody on his staff? And does that come down to having that self-awareness?
I think so.
Why would you not say to the person, hey, that makes you look very insincere and inauthentic when I do this, I look inauthentic, right? And I don't want to be in that business. I don't want to do commercials that are inauthentic.
No.
I actually think that I will help you. I took a case today where there's so many times I help people and I'm happy to do it. And I bend over backwards and I want people to walk away because I actually give a shit. And that's not promotional. I actually give a shit too much. I take it home. Stresses me out when people are going through a bad time. So that's why I think that people should hire me. That's not a plug. Well, I believe it.
Well, I think there's in sales in general, and including what you do. You're in sales. You're in sales. There is 100%. There's people that are grinding for themselves, and then there's people that are actually trying to solve problems for their clients. If you are trying to find and solve problems and say, let me identify the problem, let me isolate any objection, which is fine. You're going to get some objections. But if you're actually coming from a place of wanting to help rather than wanting to pick up the next Rolex, I think that's the difference. And I think even with attorneys, you see it comes off where, man, let's just cash a check.
I see it all the time.
Cashing checks and snapping necks.
Yeah, I see it all the time. And I just go, there's nothing, I'm not going to sit there and be the martyr for it. I just think over time that it's just going to find its way. And I think over time, water does find its level. Absolutely. I think over time, enough people will say, yeah, that deal got done. Some people you send them away and say, okay, that lawyer got paid a really big fee. They took a chunk of my money. And I go, you would have literally had. Yeah,
you wouldn't have had the money if they hadn't been there.
That's scarcity mentality. So what we have to get over is scarcity mentality to our clients. It's like, yeah, we earned a good income on that one, but think about what you got. Don't worry about what I got. Right. It's about enlarging pies.
It's amazing you think about just how people think. And like I was reading something today, my friend Cody Sperber put something up on his Instagram. It's so funny. It was like, this is a class. They should teach a class in high school, and this is the only thing they should literally come out to the podium, tap the mic, and just say, if you have $1,000 and you see something that costs $1,000 that's on sale for $750, and you buy it, you didn't save $250, you spent $750. Right. And it's like basic concepts like that people just don't seem to get their head around that I don't get.
I think that comes down to what you were talking about earlier, John, about if dumb people even know they're dumb. Why?
And they don't. Though.
And that's not they don't. There's perfectly unintelligent
people. If I was listening to this right now, I'd be like, is he talking about me? Is he talking to me?
Well, this is how you
hence why I'm on this podcast.
This is how you can tell. There's two ways to tell. There's one way to tell if we're talking about you. Do you realize that you're actually not the smartest person in the world or the coolest guy on earth? That guy at Hooters University who's going to get fired for sexual harassment because he doesn't realize that he's not Don Juan. So you've heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect, right?
Yeah, of course.
Dunning-Kruger.
You know what? I'm going to make you hold the Dunning-Kruger effect because I love Dunning-Kruger, and we can actually talk about that for like 30 minutes.
Perfect.
But we're going to take a quick break. We got to get Colt more slippery. Needs another cocktail, and we'll be back for more Power Move in just a sec.